Also through him, Yeshua, and on the ground of our trust, we have gained access to this grace, this approval, in which we stand. So let us boast about the hope of experiencing God's glory. So through Jesus, we have gained clemency, kindness, favor, approval, privilege. That's what grace means here. Now, let's look at the word hope. Hope was the word of 2008 and 2009, certainly in the States. That was Obama's slogan, just hope. The Audacity of Hope, the name of his book. Does he really know what hope is? Do we really know what hope is? I think he's got the definition wrong, frankly. The kind of hope he's talking about is not what the Bible talks about. So what is hope? Oxford's First Dictionary is kind of what most of us have, this ethereal meaning of hope, and I think this is Obama's mistake here. This is the modern meaning of hope. A feeling of expectation and desire for something to happen. A feeling. A feeling. It's just a feeling of expectation. It's not even expectation. And it's a desire for something to happen. That's really vague to me, and weak, in my opinion. You guys ever see, some of you have probably seen the movie Shawshank Redemption. It's about the two prisoners. One of them's a lifer, and the other one goes to prison because he was wrongfully convicted of killing his wife. And he talks about hope, the importance of hope. And his friend Red tells him, hope, that's a dangerous thing in here. Because Red was thinking this. There's a feeling of expectation, and how could you possibly have a feeling of any kind of expectation when you've been sentenced to prison for life? But I think his friend Andy had a better sense of what hope meant. Hope. This is what hope means in Merriam-Webster's. Trust, reliance, desire accompanied by expectation of or belief in fulfillment, expectation of fulfillment or success, someone or something on which hopes are centered. Desire accompanied by expectation or belief in fulfillment. And the one, I think the most powerful one in the second definition there is expectation of fulfillment or success. But I actually like the first one, and I know it's marked archaic, which means nobody uses it that way anymore. But I like looking at those definitions because when we're studying at our Bibles, particularly when you're using the King James, we have to remember the King James was published in 1611. That was 400 years ago. 399 years ago now, but 400 years ago. And what was going on then? Shakespeare had just debuted The Tempest, and a ragtag small handful of colonists were trying to eke out an existence in Jamestown, Virginia, the only real colony at the time in the States, in what is now the States. So 400 years ago, what did the word mean? And I think that's our best approximation right there. Trust, reliance. And looking at that, hope and faith are nearly synonyms in a biblical sense. It's trust. So let's look at the verse again. Through him, Yeshua, on the ground of our trust, we have gained access to this favor, approval in which we stand. Let us boast about the expectation, assurance, we could even say, of experiencing God's glory. So hope. Hope is a powerful word when you really look at it in this context. It's the expectation. Let us boast. Paul is saying, your King James says rejoice, but I think this is a more powerful modern word, boast. Let us boast about the hope. If it was just a hope, if it was just as we think in the modern sense, if it was just a feeling, is that enough to boast about? No. We boast about something we know is for sure. And that's what it's saying this. Boast about the expectation, read it that way, of experiencing God's glory. Okay, glory. This is one that always gets me. What does that mean? Experiencing God's glory. That's an ethereal word if I ever saw one. What is glory? Oxford tells us it's magnificence, great beauty, high renown or honor, Merriam-Webster's praise, honor, or distinction. You know, in Romans 3, we read, all have come short of the glory of God. Okay, what does that mean? We've all come short of his praise. We're incapable. He can't praise us. That's what that means. Because we're sinners. He can't praise us. And so here the verse is saying that we can expect to experience his glory. So we can read that two ways. Of experiencing God's magnificence and great beauty, which is something I think we're looking forward to really just be in his presence and see who this being is that has dared to love us. But what's the other way of reading it? Is let us boast about the hope of experiencing God's praise. That's a powerful thought. The expectation, and how many of us are hoping for this? The expectation of hearing, well done, good and faithful servant. And that's what Paul's telling us here. Let's boast about that assurance that we are going to experience his praise, his glory, and his honor for us. That we're going to come up there and he's going to receive us with open arms. Why? Because of Jesus. We can't forget that. That is the crux. But what a powerful gift. What a mighty gift. Okay, Romans 5. But now, verse 3. But not only that, let us also boast in our troubles, because we know that trouble produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And this hope does not let us down, because God's love for us has already been poured out in our hearts through the Ruach HaKodesh, through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Let us boast, rejoice in our troubles. That's a hard one for us. That's a real hard one for us. But we're going to look at why in a little bit. It can be easier if we look at where it's taking us. Okay, so trouble produces endurance. Trouble produces endurance. Why? Because it makes us try again. When trouble comes, our reflex needs to be try again. I fell. Get up. I tripped. It's okay. Keep moving. That needs to be our knee-jerk reaction, because I think sometimes it's so easy to just say, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't. This is too hard. This is too hard. Living holy is too hard. Spreading the gospel is too hard. You know, getting up again to whatever your responsibility is too hard. God's told you to go do something. No, I'm tired." No. Endure. Persevere. Be tenacious. What did Paul tell Timothy in 1 Timothy? And this is, I think this has become my verse. It's going to be my verse for the year. A couple of them, but this one keeps coming up. Fight the good fight of faith. Keep trusting. Persevere. Persevere. Why? Okay, what does that do? So trouble produces endurance. But you have to endure. That's your work. But this is where it produces. Every time you endure and you try again, it builds character. I always hated it when my coach told me that when I was in sports in high school. Builds character. Get up, do it again. It's like, what does that mean, builds character? We're going to look at that in a little bit. But it does. It builds character. Okay, and this is biblical. I never knew it was biblical. It was a Christian school, but it didn't occur to me that my coach was being biblical. All right. What is character? Character is moral excellence and